One of my favorite things about highly intense and dramatic stories is seeing how the characters start to act when the die is cast and the situation has never been more dire. The prospect of world-ending stakes show things about people as they begin to act in ways that reveal more about who they are than ever before, and that sort of intimacy in character writing is something I've always found enticing. And with regards to this, the final season of Attack on Titan has brought with it an immense amount of insane drama, emotional climaxes, monumental plot twists, and many of these character moments that I've talked about, and the common denominator between all of them, the eye of the storm as it were, is Eren Yeager. This new post-time skip, seemingly ruthless Eren Yeager who takes the ideals he's always held and carries them to their furthest cutthroat extremes. And something I love about this section of the story is that through working through some very subtle subtext, we can see that Eren is not immune to this either. His actions and behaviors tell us so much about who he is at this point and where his motivations and heart lies. And most importantly for this video, how he feels about himself, and how he tries to contrast that through the mask he shows to the world. In the middle of a walk through Eren's childhood memories, Zeke, partly to quell his own loneliness, tries to convince his brother that the two of them are kindred, indoctrinated spirits. But as the truth of the matter becomes clear and Zeke begins to learn that Eren simply did not have the same upbringing as him, Eren says something very indicative that echoes backwards and helps us key into very telling facets of his psychology. He tells Zeke, the man attempting to make it so that Eldians will never be born again, that he is nothing like him. And his reasoning is clear. He says that Zeke is so defined from the outside in, so much of a reaction to his environment that he has no true sense of self, no individuality in his ideals. And Eren says that that could not be further from his own mentality.
俺とあんたが同じだと思ってたようだが、間違っている。他人から自由を奪われるくらいなら、俺はそいつから自由を奪う。親父が俺をそうしたわけじゃない。俺は生まれた時からこうだった。生まれた時から。あんたが望んだ哀れな弟はどこにもいない。あんたの心の傷を分かち合う都合のいい弟も。
It's a totally vehement opposition. From Eren's perspective, Zeke is nurture, with his entire life's journey being the result of his experiences, whereas Eren is nature, having been defined by the monstrous yearning for freedom from birth. Eren is Eren. He always has been. However, the force with which he tried to get this point across and the minor blind spots he seems to have remind me of another vital sequence in the final season, the table scene with the two people that he loves most.
俺は自由だ。俺が何をしようと、何を選ぼうと、それは俺の自由意志が選択したものだ。俺がこの世で一番嫌いなものがわかるか。不自由なやつだよ。もしくは家畜だ。
I am free. Everything I do is because of my freedom, and I hate everything that isn't free. I am nothing like the pathetic kindred spirit you think I am. We have nothing in common. In both cases, this is very forceful from Eren, front-loading these proclamations to try to prove something. But the thing is, we now know that he has seen future events through kissing Historia's hand and has been unable to stop at least some of what he wanted to stop. The prime example being Sasha's death, highlighted by his laugh in response and drawing reference to a very similar instance from long ago. The commonality here is clear. It's a characteristic response of Eren's to what he perceives as his own failures, powerlessness, and inability to enact change. It's a self-critical laugh of futility in both cases due to the fact that he couldn't alter the tragic events. And what this means is that during the table scene, he knows that he doesn't have total freedom at all. To at least some extent, he is a victim to the whims of fate that he's seen. And he knows this. So then, why does he say something that isn't true? Why does he flaunt his freedom? Because he's insecure about it. He isn't confident. He has seen that certain events are fixed and unchangeable, and so what he says here is done to convince those around him, and most importantly, himself, that regardless, he is truly free. Because the alternative is too horrifying to bear. Because he needs to believe this. So with this in mind, when he says that he hates everyone who isn't free, is he really talking to Armin and particularly Mikasa? Not really. I think he's speaking to himself, going back to that immense self-hatred he feels and has felt for so long about his inability to have true agency. In what world would Eren just spontaneously begin to hate his beloved friends, the ones who he states a mere couple of years prior to this that he wants to live long and happy lives? No, here he is hating the one person he has always been the hardest on, and portraying a juxtaposing front to the world to try to convince himself of something he doesn't believe is the full truth. He needs to, or he's liable to come apart at the seams. Likewise, to link back, his words to Zeke here are a similar sort of mask. I do agree with him that he's had this core, pure, and at times frightening yearning for freedom and has had it from birth till now. But he has also experienced key moments that shaped him. Armin showing him the wonders of the outside world, his mom's death, Bertolt and Reiner's betrayal, what he saw when kissing Historia's hand, and much more. These are shown to be core, defining moments for his character, and these have shaped his actions and identity too. He is on some level also formed by his environment, so he has some common ground with Zeke there, as faint as it may be. Yet he utterly dismisses the possibility outright. There is absolutely nothing we have in common. I am nothing like you. I view this defiance and unwillingness to relate to Zeke to be due at least in part to the fact that Zeke's motives and ideals are so violently opposite to his, and as such, he doesn't want to acknowledge any common ground with someone like that. It's abhorrent to Eren. Nevertheless, due to all of this and quite a bit more, Eren is wearing a mask post-time skip. A mask to show the world that backs his loved ones away from him, one that lies to others and particularly himself about his freedom and experiences in an attempt to convince.
Eren, もういい。これ以上、誰も苦しめなくていい。これ以上、苦しまなくていい。
This dualism and inner conflict between how the exterior contrasts the interior is displayed in numerous ways throughout the presentation of the anime and manga, but one of the scenes that sticks with me the most is the pure, soft sadness and sensitivity on Eren's face right after manipulating Grisha to kill the Rice family. He is just so saddened and totally exhausted by the role he has to play and the pain he feels in playing that role, and you can feel that emanating off of him. What he's doing is heinous, and he knows it. But his task isn't finished yet, as he follows through with his endeavor and begins a cataclysm unlike anything we've ever seen. It is clear that Eren is wearing this false mask to carry out his goals, but to what end? Why does he have such conviction, and why is he doing this? What does he see that we cannot? And is it finally the true horizon that he has been seeking for what seems like forever? We simply don't know the answers at this point, nor do we know if any of these questions have a true answer. But what is clear is that this version of Eren is a fabrication on some level, born out of his nature and experiences. And if the final image of this ending is anything to go by, he will be set ablaze before he ever relents from this crusade. Many thanks for watching.